You're listening to Biz-Souls, the business podcast with an edge, hosted by me, Rona Lewis, and Jeffrey Hansler. Tune in for perspectives and discoveries about the changing world of business. It's time to connect to the heart, soul, and humor of how business gets done. It's time for another Biz-Souls episode. Aren't you guys excited? I'm Rona Lewis.
I'm Jeffrey Hansler. Oh, I am Jeffrey Hansler this time.
This morning.
And we get to the heart and soul of business and the people that make it happen.
And today we're going over one of my favorite subjects of all time. I'm lying. Finance and accounting.
Why?
Because Jeffrey wanted to do it.
It's tax season. It's tax season.
It's tax season. And yeah, and this is something that Jeffrey happens to be very good at, and he actually teaches it. And it is not my wheelhouse. And I actually teach a product management class, and part of that is accounting and finance. And I had to call him up, and I was like, "Help me get through this." And you gave me some great tips that make it digestible for everybody to understand.
Yeah, and my son and his partner started a new business, and they had to set up QuickBooks, and so they were like, "What does this mean? I don't know." They knew how to make money. They started selling, and the cash was coming in. They had no books, no structure, no nothing.
Good for them.
So, and that's the way a lot of entrepreneurs start things. They don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm a concept person, and I do the details because I have to, and because I teach classes, I do workshops, I do keynotes. So I have 5 or 6 different modes of income. So that's the part that and then I have to take off for. I work from the house, so
Right.
Then it's taking off part of your house for work, and do I drive my car for work and for home? There's a lot.
Right, exactly.
Help.
So there's a basic. First of all, people let's talk about
the drawers.
Okay, we'll talk about drawers. Yeah, we're talking about underwear. No, we're not talking about underwear.
I have great underwear, but that's a whole other conversation, and it's not PG. So
All right, first of all, let's talk about accounting versus finance.
okay.
And so accounting is the record keeping.
Right.
And in accounting, in Canada and the United States, they're the only 2 countries that follow GAAP, generally accepted accounting practices. Right. Everybody else is on the International Financial Standard Accounting. Where there are a lot of more similarities and differences. Some differences. And because we went to a global marketplace, people are talking about GAAP needs a change. There's a whole big discussion on that. And that's okay. For right now, if you're in the United States and you're a publicly traded company, you have to follow GAAP. If you're not a publicly traded company, you don't have to follow GAAP. And there's just certain rules. So just know there's a difference. You don't have to know what it is now. Finance, on the other hand, is putting together reports. And financial accounting is just getting the reports together, making sure everything goes in the right categories, shows up on the right financial statements, et cetera, et cetera. Now there's something called managerial accounting. Managerial accounting is more where you start analyzing, well, what does this mean? Do we have too much cash on hand? Should we invest more? Are we leveraged too much? Those things. So even if you get the basics of finance, until you start doing analysis, you don't get into the managerial accounting. And the managerial accounting doesn't really have rules. So companies have the weird little algorithms about what they're constantly measuring and how they do it. DuPont, one of the men that built America, supposedly, he actually came up. He was always playing around. He had an inordinately large accounting group, finance group, because the managing the money and the handling and what they did with it and how they leveraged the
and
money.
And hiding the money. And
well, that too. Anyway, he came out.
And the 2 sets of books that they had.
Yeah, he came out by, taking 2 algorithms or 2 ratios and then comparing them. If we multiply the 2 ratios together, what does that bring? Or if we divide them or something like that. And so you have DuPont formulas that are out there. And
are my eyes glazing over yet?
Yeah, they're glazed over. So we're going to change the subject real quick, and we're going to go back to the accounting. And so Rona talked about the 5 drawers. And the 5 drawers...
This is how I learned how to to explain it to other people and to really get it straight in my head. So this is a good thing to listen to.
And I don't know why. When I took accounting, it was never explained this way. And I always struggle with,
makes so much
there's got to
sense.
be an easier way to do it.
Yeah.
And so I must say, in teaching accounting classes, because this would developed over time. Look, accounting is nothing more than a single filing cabinet. That's all accounting is. I want you to imagine a single filing cabinet. And that cabinet has 5 drawers in it.
5 drawers. Okay.
And that is accounting. So your top drawer.
So decorate your filing cabinet any way you want in your head.
Exactly.
Paint it, make it pretty, and then when you open the drawers, what do they have?
Okay. The top drawer is assets.
Assets. Okay.
Okay. The next drawer after that is liabilities.
Okay.
And the next drawer after that is equity. And the next drawer after that is revenue. And the next drawer after that is expenses.
Okay. Assets, liabilities, equity.
Revenue.
Revenue, and then
And expenses.
expenses. Okay.
Now, accountants have their own language. So you want to use the right words at the right time.
Again,
So-
words are important. We
and
say that every single episode.
Exactly. And we're not going to go into all the detail of the different words. So we have these 5 drawers. That is accounting. Now, the accountants will tell you, oh, do you know what the accounting equation is? Well, the accounting equation is assets equal liability plus equity.
Okay, so it's what you have left,
Assets, you
Right.
take your assets,
what you have.
and that equals all your liabilities plus what the owners own.
Okay.
And that makes no sense to me. Why do they do that? And I'm telling you, I think it's because accounting, I think they're a little, it's
Proprietary?
they want to have a little click.
Yeah.
And so they said, oh, we know this stuff. And look, if I change the accounting equation and make it take all your assets minus all your liabilities.
Everything you owe?
Right. So your assets are everything you own. Your liabilities are everything you owe.
Right.
And that equals equity, which is what's left over for the owners.
Right.
Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they give it to you that way? Anyway, they do it that way, and it's crazy. So anyway, let's go back to the assets. Yeah. Assets are everything that you own.
Right.
Now, you own it even if you don't completely own it. Like if you buy a house.
Like my car. I still
your
owe a
car,
little money.
you still
Okay.
own money on it. So part of that asset is offset by the liability you have for that loan. That's where the liability comes in. So let's just deal with the assets. In the asset drawer, there are only 3 folders. And everything goes into these 3 folders. There's current assets. There's non-current or long-term assets. And then there's other assets. Those are the only 3 files that are in that drawer. And in current assets are assets you could turn to cash or you intend to turn to cash in a 12-month period.
Okay.
Non-current assets are anything you don't intend to turn to cash.
So like stocks.
Well, it depends on who you are. See, that's where it gets issues. So like land. So if a business buys a piece of land with a building on it, they're not going to get rid of that building and land in a year. They're buying it for a long-term asset.
Got it.
Okay. A current asset would be their inventory. They want to make it and sell it. A current asset might be if they bought, securities, marketable securities to buy and sell and hold, just as a way to get money, get interest on money that they weren't using in their direct production or something like that. Okay. So that's current assets. Now, here's the thing. If a real estate company, they're a real estate investment company. So they go out and buy land and buildings. All right.
To flip.
To flip, that's a current asset for them. As opposed to the company, the manufacturing company that bought the building and land. So it does depend. And so if the GAAP rules are this big, there's probably, this many rules within every single industry.
If you're just listening, he made his hands wider apart.
Yeah. So there are all these there's special rules within every industry and how they do things.
Okay.
And some of them are based on law and some are just based on, that's the way we've always
So
done it.
sometimes you can't have just like a basic accountant do if you're a specialized industry. Should you have an accountant that is specialized in the industry?
Correct.
Look at me, I'm so smart.
I know. So if you develop software is, it might be another asset.
Okay.
It's not a long-term asset, it's another asset. There are other things, patents, what do you call them? Patents, contracts, copyright, copyrights, anything that's intellectual property,
Okay.
that might fall into another asset. Okay. Liabilities, on the other hand, there are only 3 folders in liabilities. The 3 folders are current liabilities, non-current liabilities, and then other liabilities.
It's the same title for each of them, except for the
And
assets versus
what are
liabilities.
current liabilities? Current liabilities are liabilities that you have to pay
In a year?
Yeah, within 12 months.
Okay.
Non-current liabilities are liabilities like a mortgage. You're going to pay over. It's going to be longer than a year. So if you get a 30-year mortgage, how much of that's going to be current? The first year, the first 12 months. And every month that goes by, it keeps picking up another month as one month drops off. So that current liability for that mortgage never changes until the final year when you're paying off the final loan.
Interesting.
Okay? And then other liabilities would include non-current, the ones you're going to pay over time. Other liabilities are things like lawsuits, pending lawsuits, because they have to account for that.
Okay.
That's called conservatism. We have to plan for losses right away, and we can't take in revenues until we have a contract of some kind. Okay. Now, so let's move on real quick because we got to keep this short. We're going to move on to, and Rona's glazing over.
Too late. Help me. Help.
Okay.
Hey, get me.
So equity is what the owners own, and they'll have stock. There are different kinds of stock. There's preferred stock if they're selling stock. There's common
stocks
stock.
I know, because I invest.
If a company sells stock, like Apple sold a bunch of stock, and then they have a bunch of money. Apple has a bunch of money over in Ireland, and I'll exaggerate. It's total exaggeration. They got $35 billion in Ireland, and they have 4 people working in the office there.
Right.
Okay, complete exaggeration. Except, why is the money kept in Ireland?
Different system.
Different tax systems. So it behooves them to do that. So in his first term, Donald Trump gave an amnesty, expecting the money to be brought in. You wouldn't get penalized for holding it over there. Expecting the money to be brought in and reinvested in manufacturing. What did they do with the money they brought over? Apple Computer bought their own stock. And that stock then that was sold and then is repurchased called treasury stock. Okay. So there are a couple things with that. So then we move on to revenue. Revenue are what you sell.
Right.
It's not income. Income is what's left over at the end of the whole thing. Your revenue is what you sell it for. So you go to Home Depot and you sell stuff, and that's your revenue. And then, like me, I'm not a plumber, and so when I fix a sink, I go to the plumbing section and I buy that all looks the same, so I buy half dozen of all of them, and then the one that works I take the others back. So that's a return or a return or a discount is something like that. Anyway, and then we have expenses, and expenses are everything else. And one of the funny things that I'll just finish on this one, because I can't talk about accounting without talking about ROI. So the L&D community, learning and development community, they want to justify what they do, because whenever money gets tight, L&D gets cut. They're cut. The other thing is cut as fast as L&D is HR. And so L&D was trying to prove that they have value, and they do have value. This is terrible proof.
We also have to say that because we're in the L&D space.
Yeah, they talk,
and we know our value.
Yeah, we do. They talk about ROI, improving ROI. Well, here's what's funny. As an expense, a training expense, it goes in a category called SG&A. Sales.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is, but yeah.
Okay. And if you want to look that up, you can look that up, SG&A.
Because you don't remember what it is either.
I'm drawing a blank right now.
That's okay. Because we're rushing because we want to.
I want to get this done.
So SG&A.
Anyway, what else goes into SG&A? All the salaries for everybody in the company, building expenses, rent, electricity, utilities.
And they throw L&D in there?
And L&D is thrown in that. And so it's such a small percentage. So when you're trying to argue L&D, R&D is an innovation. I mean, L&D is an innovation. And you're investing. And you may not get a return on it, or you may get a return on it. You won't know until it's implemented and it's down the line. So trying to prove ROI on it is ridiculous.
It's virtually impossible.
But there's a couple that has made a ton of money with that. And here's why we decided to talk about this real quick, because people are so scared.
You decided that we'll talk about this real quick.
Okay. People are so intimidated by accounting and finance that
I'm
if
one of them.
somebody throws in ROI, they feel like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. So it's what do you call it? It's not a false, when you have a false conception, it's a misconception. Anyway, it's a false, it's not assumption. There's a word out there. Somebody, please, my vocabulary disappears when I go into accounting. Anyway, so look, just the ROI thing, I'd let it go. I really would let it go. Innovation is innovation and learn.
Well, and isn't
innovation.
ROI a comparison against something and you have nothing to compare it to? And innovation means it's new. So how can you compare it to anything?
Right. And one of the jokes I would tell that always pissed the guys off that were selling the ROI stuff is, yeah, you know how you get 100% ROI on L&D? Don't hold a training. You're guaranteed. You've got 100% return on your money.
That's very funny.
Anyway, that's it for us.
Okay.
Hope you enjoyed it. By the way, I was thinking of putting up small accounting finance lessons online on a fee. I don't know if you guys think it's a good idea. Let us know. Okay.
All right.
Or
That's
let
it
me
for-
know.
Yeah,
Not that I'm going to share
'cause
with Rona. No,
I
I
don't-
need Rona. I need a comic sidekick for it because otherwise finance can get, especially with me.
Kind of like today. Anyway. All right. Oh, this was fun. I'm Rona Lewis,
I'm Jeffrey Hansler.
and this has been Biz-Souls. We'll talk about something else, anything else next time.
Talk
We'll
about
see you
anything
then.
else. See ya. Bye.
You've been listening to the Biz-Souls podcast with your hosts, Rona Lewis and Jeffrey Hansler. Did you have fun? Subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Talk to you next week.